Hello everyone, Dr. Suneel Dhand, internal medicine physician. Welcome to another video. Dr. Anthony Fauci, Dr. Fauci himself, has received yet another high award. Now the man goes around all these academic medical centers across the United States and indeed all over the world and is greeted as a hero. He gets up, there's standing ovations, people are full of praise. Seemingly Dr. Fauci can do nothing wrong. He is a hero, which really says a lot. It almost says more for many of our medical authorities and institutions than it does for Dr. Fauci himself. But anyway, recently he received another high award from a supposedly top organization. Let me share this with you. So this was published within the last couple of days. Fauci to pediatricians. You have a reservoir of trust with the public. Fauci accepts honorary fellowship at the American Academy of Pediatrics plenary session. This was top pediatricians gathered for their annual meeting. Fauci was at the meeting to receive an honorary fellow designation, which, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, represents the highest distinction and expression of gratitude by the Academy. Well, of course they would. I'm not really surprised by that. Now, those of you who have followed me for some time know exactly what I think about both Dr. Anthony Fauci and the American Academy of Pediatrics. I wouldn't trust either of them to even look after my goldfish. But that's my own personal decision. Everyone is free to make up their own mind, who they trust and who they don't trust. That is the glory of living in a free country like the United States of America, something that people like Dr. Anthony Fauci and organizations like the American Academy of Pediatrics don't understand. People are free to make their own choices. I personally don't trust them. I think they are corrupted and I think they are politicized. But of course, you make up your own mind. But rather than me tell you how I feel and what my beliefs are, why don't I share with you some things that the American Academy of Pediatrics has actually done? This organization that is in charge of the health and well-being of America's future, the children. What could be more important than that? So let me share with you some things that they have actually done over the last few years. You be the judge. Well, firstly, around 20 years ago, the American Academy of Pediatrics, based solely on opinion, not based on any facts whatsoever or any science, said that mothers who are at risk of peanut allergy should avoid peanuts while pregnant, should avoid peanuts while breastfeeding, and should avoid giving their toddlers any peanuts until 3 years old. Well, what happened? Over the next few years, due to that advice from the fine American Academy of Pediatrics, the rate of peanut allergy soared. It more than doubled because children were no longer exposed to peanuts. Great advice there, American Academy of Pediatrics. Well, let's fast forward now to the year 2015, where screen time became a real concern for many parents. Well, previously, the American Academy of Pediatrics said screen time should be limited. Absolutely, children should be getting outdoors. They should be interacting with people. No more than 2 hours maximum of screen time. Well, what did they do in 2015? They lifted that prior recommendation. Now screen time was apparently okay. Can anyone really say that's been a good thing? Children, especially young children, should absolutely have their screen time limited. So previously the American Academy of Pediatrics, which had a good recommendation, decided to lift that recommendation so it was no longer in place. Excellent work, American Academy of Pediatrics. Let's fast forward now to the year 2020, the depths of the pandemic in 2020. One of the most controversial things initially was schools being closed, children being kept out of school, causing devastation. It was totally unnecessary. Well, initially, the American Academy of Pediatrics had a fraction of common sense and said, absolutely, it should be a priority to open schools as quickly as possible. Children need to be in school, they need to be learning, they need to be interacting. Well, what happened then was President Donald Trump said exactly the same thing shortly afterwards, said schools should be open. Upon hearing that, the American Academy of Pediatrics completely walked back their recommendation because they are, after all, completely political. And they said, no, no, no. If President Trump says it, then we can't say it. So they walked back that recommendation, recommended that schools stayed closed for longer. This caused untold damage to children and to parents across the country. It was totally unnecessary. So there you go, the American Academy of Pediatrics, which, by the way, is the first to say that politics should be separate from medicine, proved themselves to be a completely political organization. Fantastic work, American Academy of Pediatrics keeping kids out of school. And how about face coverings during the pandemic? Well, the American Academy of Pediatrics distinguished themselves yet again by saying that children as young as 2 should be wearing face coverings, a strong recommendation, completely at odds with every other country, basically, completely at odds with the World Health Organization. But the American Academy of Pediatrics, which cares so much for children, wanted to put a face covering on a 2-year-old. How on earth do you do that? And how damaging is that for a 2-year-old while they are developing? And I can tell you, as someone who travels back and forth to Europe a lot, European countries were basically laughing when I told them that in America, the recommendation from the supposedly top pediatric organization was to put a face covering on a 2-year-old. They were laughing, totally unheard of in Europe. I never saw it in the United Kingdom. It was yet another fine recommendation from the American Academy of Pediatrics. And how about childhood obesity, which is at crisis levels in the United States? We have millions of children getting diseases which were unheard of 20 or 30 years ago. Type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, other inflammatory diseases, all because of a terrible food system, so much junk food, and very bad habits. Well, the American Academy of Pediatrics even admitted themselves that they want to focus on treatment rather than prevention. So yes, it's a great idea to start injecting teenagers with powerful medications instead of simply being all in on better eating habits and getting better food, lobbying for better food to become more affordable. That would be far too difficult. Why do that when you can make more money by having children on injections to control their weight? Yet more good work from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Let's focus on treatment rather than prevention. Hippocrates would be proud. And how about the pandemic boosters, the ongoing annual boosters, which are really only recommended in most other countries for the elderly or vulnerable, only if they want to take them? Well, not the American Academy of Pediatrics. It is an annual recommendation for every young child, toddler, 6 months or older, annually getting a booster. Well done, American Academy of Pediatrics. You've totally distinguished yourself from every other major country in the world, every other major organization. Fantastic work. You really are something else, pushing so hard for these boosters in healthy toddlers and children. So does it really surprise you that an organization like this would be lavishing praise on Dr. Anthony Fauci and making him an honorary member? Absolutely not. The two totally deserve each other. Now, I could go on about both Dr. Fauci and the American Academy of Pediatrics, but I'm worried I might start swearing and cussing. And I know my mother often, actually frequently, watches my videos, so I'm not going to go down that route. But I'm so glad I'm not a pediatrician in the United States. In fact, I feel sorry for a lot of pediatricians out there. I think there are many, many good pediatricians, and you are let down by the American Academy of Pediatrics. Thank God I'm not a pediatrician. For that reason, I can look at this objectively from the outside. If you are a good pediatrician out there, you deserve better leadership. I hope the American Academy of Pediatrics is disbanded one day. I hope they are replaced by a new organization that is not political, that is not corrupted, and certainly doesn't take any donations from pharmaceutical companies. That's all I've got to say about that. Thanks everyone for listening. Let me know your thoughts down below. Check out my online academy. That link is also down below. Remember, huge swathes of healthcare and medicine are unfortunately completely and utterly corrupted. And one of the best things you can do for your health and your family's health is make the right decisions every day. Small changes over time, the right decisions lead to massive changes to your physical and mental health. Hit the like button if you like this video and the bell button for more similar videos in the future. Have a terrific weekend, everyone, and we will speak again very soon.